Welcome back to the Aftermath, where it's pretty much like a longer match reaction form. We talk about the match that has just happened in more detail. I am Mike's. We are on the road to 200 subscribers, so make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get to 200 subscribers as soon as possible. Obviously, West Ham United 2, Sheffield United 0. And obviously, coming into this game, we lost at Anfield, and they got battered 8-0 by Newcastle. I think it was 8-0. Sorry, I know a lot of videos I have to clear my throat a lot. Bit of a problem. There wasn't many Tevez chants. There's a lot of player performances that we probably need to speak on. A pretty overall, not the game to talk about as a neutral. But yeah, this is what happens, and also reason why the aftermath is on a Monday is because it's a Monday night football, so we can do the Premier League roundup on Tuesday. But yeah, let's get straight into this. Obviously, Areola in goal in a 4-2. What it says 4-2-3-1 on Google. Diamond formation, but Bowen sometimes tracks back on the off the ball. Areola in goal didn't have to do much, apart from a couple of saves. I would say so far player of the season. Whenever he's been called into action against the likes of Luton, Brighton, Chelsea. I don't think he had to do much against Bournemouth. Even against City, he was amazing. And he kept the score down, especially against City, who, by the way, lost to Wolves. So there was not really much of an excuse to do better against Manchester City as good as and as elite as Manchester City are. They didn't have De Bruyne either on that day. With Areola, I just think, I think we're in the third season in a row where we can look at Fabianski and Areola and say we've got two really good goalkeepers that can play in different competitions, and I think Fabianski especially will suit more cup competitions, and Areola will suit the league much more. I think it was needed to make that change. I know Fabianski was very frustrated, and rightly so, because you would be frustrated too if he was told the way he was told, and he felt like he could have been told in a different way and stuff like that, because he found out on a Thursday and he was going to be the second keeper. I'm assuming if he found out he's going to be the second keeper, he might have not agreed to that contract extension. This might be the last time we see Fabianski, unless he wants to stay again. But he's also getting on a bit. But I just think Areola's a bit more suitable to us at the moment, because I know we're trying to balance it out in terms of going long and playing football. Sometimes we might play good football, sometimes we'll play down the channels. And I'm going to come on to that a bit later because it's to do with Mikel Antonio. Vladimir Coufal. Are the Czech boys back? Let's talk about them. Let's talk about Souček and Coufal together. Souček scored the goal. Coufal's got his third assist this season, and third assist in a row. Against City and Liverpool, he also scored. Got 2 assists. He never scored for the club because the guy can't shoot. But in possession, he does piss me off. But if you look at the highlights, the way we set up the goal, nice passing for the goal, I didn't actually realise how good our goal was until I watched it back on Match of the Day. And to be honest with Coufal, what we missed was his delivery. And he was never the same until, I always mention this, the injury that he got against the Man Matic for that Carabao Cup game where we beat Man United. And the thing is with Coufal, in the 2021 season, especially him and Aaron Cresswell putting some elite deliveries into the box. And to be honest with you, we're starting to see that come back a bit. I don't think he has the legs, unfortunately, to keep going on like this all throughout the whole season. I do think we need a quicker fullback. But you're not going to get many that, apart from the obvious elite ones like Trent, that deliver a better ball than him into the box. I wouldn't say technically he's that good, but he can definitely deliver. And if we get that counter-attacking sort of speed that we had a few seasons ago, then he'll be very vital towards that. I trust him in big games, But I do think he's going to find a lot of situations, a bit like Manchester City, where he's going to come up against a tricky, pacey winger that's going to do him in. I don't think he's been perfect this season. I don't think he's been anything above a 7. But the assist I will take into account as well. But goals and assists aren't everything. If I see you get done in 1v1 all the time, I saw Mudryk do this guy 1v1 against Chelsea, and I'm right. So in the second half, I'm sitting pretty much right behind that corner of the goal he's usually defending. In the second half, you can pay attention to it more because the game gets tough, the game gets more intense, and there's more intent from the opposition team to go and attack. And I just feel like Sufel gets done in maybe a bit too much more than he used to because he used to lock people up. Like, I would say in his debut season, apart from like Mane and Adama Traore, I don't think many people did him in. To be honest, and even Jamie Carragher in that season put him in his team of the season. And people seem to forget how good he used to be, and then started off well. I would say he got injured, and then he put out some shocking performances playing through the injury. But unfortunately, when you play through the injury, you're just making it a lot worse. And I just think that doesn't really help with performances because you kind of just. I know you want to play, but you're kind of just risking yourself for the club. And listen, Craig Dawson had it too, but it didn't help him when he was playing through injuries throughout the time that he was there. I always rate the dedication. I think if we can give this a bit more time, maybe the Czech boys are coming back, and that moves me on to Thomas Souček, who scored the goal, played well, and it's probably his best performance of the season. He played really well against Bournemouth and really well against Liverpool from what I saw of the game. And Bournemouth and Liverpool, both times my stream cut off, but from what I saw, he played very well in both games. I think he played well when we had 10 men against Chelsea, a bit like everyone else on the team. We didn't really play well after our first goal against Chelsea until we got 10 men. But my voice just went there. But Souček, I don't think it was just a Declan Rice thing. He even said like he wasn't motivated for last season, which is a bit worrying. But if you could just like, I don't think. Yes, I think Declan Rice played a part in him not being free, but I also think that there were times where he just wasn't winning his duels. Like, and that's something Souček is king of, duels. And another thing is passing 5 yards, which he's never been able to do. But like you're a midfielder, you should be able to pass 5 yards. And he's way too stiff. He's going to come up against so many more people that are more mobile than him. Especially last season, Palace at home was one, Leicester at home was one, Arsenal away was one. There was so many fucking games where I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Because you're coming up against people that are way more mobile than you, and you're just getting taken out. And I think the club will have to move past him eventually. But for now, he's scoring goals. He's getting into the box, and I did watch the goal back, but I thought Antonio didn't play that much of a. He played a good ball, but I didn't think it was right on Souček's feet. Turns out it was, because I thought Souček had to kind of like step over it to like slow it in, but he didn't. It was just a great ball and a great run and a great finish from Thomas Souček. And that's what we need from him back. I don't expect 10 goals a season from midfield from him. If he could get anywhere near that, that would be amazing. I'm not expecting that. I'll just do the basics and don't get done in. Keep the tempo. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder. I don't think him and Alvarez need to play together either. But, for example, if Alvarez is out, he can't play Alvarez's role. It's not the same. They're not the same player. They're not the same type of player at all. Alvarez is an organiser. We'll move on to Alvarez now. He's an organiser. He's a leader at the back. He can pass between the lines. He can pass out wide, switch the ball, etc. He can run with the ball. He can give you a bit of everything. He's good at retaining the ball. The only thing he needs to learn is the pace of the league. And especially with playing the lone 6 role that sometimes he'll pop into, especially against Brighton. He was sensational. He just ran out of steam. The only reason why we took him off is because of the yellow card, and apparently the yellow card wasn't justified, but I haven't seen the challenge back. But he's a crunch and tackle kind of guy. And we're going to need him, and hopefully he won't get banned, but I do feel like he's going to suffer from a fifth yellow card eventually. I'll put it this way, he needs to play every game that we have. Even the Freiburg game he needs to play. We don't have a defensive midfielder, so he needs to play. And that's just my opinion. We need to go strong against Freiburg as well, because they're a good team. They're a good team. They're not some joke team. They're not Vienna. They're not like there's another team. Who did we face last year? Anderlecht, Ghent, and what's their name? Bucharest. They're not Bucharest. They're Freiburg. They're a German team. They can't be that bad. Usually you see the same teams get into Europe every year from that league, even the Leverkusens, etc. But they're clearly not that bad. And that we're going to be battling them probably for top spot, because I don't think Olympiacos are the same team as they were. But Edson Alvarez is so important to us, and I think if that gives you more freedom for Thomas Suchek to maybe try his best to get back to his best, then sure, let's see this. Let's see the remontada, for lack of a better word. That word used to get used a lot online, especially on football Twitter. Kurt Zouma and Neff again. A lot of criticism of again, especially from myself, especially on this channel, especially from the Liverpool game. He needed to be dropped, but at the same time, Moyes kept him, and Moyes trusts the partnership. He probably thinks that this is the back four that won me the trophy. This is the goalkeeper that won me the trophy. I'm going to stick with this back five thing, like the goalkeeper back four. And again that was his best performance of the season. He didn't need to do much. He left the gap in for Ollie McBurney, but you could put a crucial block in for one of their chances, and he did his job. And just more of that, less mistakes. But I just feel like even against Luton, the guy was dodgy. So I'm a bit afraid from him coming up against Callum Wilson, and inevitably he'll probably be back fit for us and score against us. Keep Callum Wilson quiet. I reckon you keep the whole of Newcastle quiet, because I don't think Newcastle have many goals in them. So that's just my opinion. I know they beat us 5-1, but that was due to a lot of mistakes that we made and a lot of lapse of concentration in our defending. But that's a Gerd for you. A Gerd is a dodgy defender, to say the least. And I'm not totally convinced, but he did perform well, and you've got to give credit where it's due. I'm not an agenda man. I'm a man who just says what I see. And if he performs well, I'll say he performs well. If he doesn't, then he doesn't. I'm just gonna say how it is. I don't care if you're my favorite player or least favorite player. You will always hold the same amount of criticism that everyone else will hold. And Kurt Zouma also did his job. The only criticism, missed a header on a long throw that was never going to go in because it's Sheffield United. And Ollie McBurney couldn't had anything. I think the guy should stick to fighting fans. But Zouma did his job. He's a leader at the back, and he hasn't got injured yet. And not getting injured yet for Kurt Zouma. And we're in October now. He's gone 2 months without getting injured, so I don't know whether he did that last season, because we had a centre-back crisis at one point. But then again, I think he was part of that centre-back crisis. Let's hope that, especially around the December fixture list, that he doesn't get injured as much. I do feel like that Moyes might overplay him a bit when there's so many fixtures bunched up together. Especially like the Christmas fixture list. And funny enough, Christmas not far away, 2 months. But yeah, and nothing really to complain about with the centre-backs, especially because they didn't offer any threat. Cameron Archer's a good player. He actually didn't play that bad. James McAtee's a good player, just playing behind. Which, the spaces they were creating, sometimes it did affect us a little bit. I didn't think they had Sheffield United had the right ideas, but they never had the quality. Their defenders are shit. And Cameron Archer will get there eventually. James McAtee will get there eventually. Ollie McBurney's not good enough for the Premier League. Jayden Bogle, probably not good enough for the Premier League. Luke Thomas is a decent left back. But he was probably part of the reason why we scored the first goal, not tracking his man as analysed on Match of the Day and stuff like that. Emerson, another consistent performance again from Emerson. Didn't really need to get tested because they play with wing backs that are not good enough to take people on 1v1, so he didn't really need to get tested. Put a good block in his second half for them to get a corner. But he did offer a lot going forward. Again, him and Paquetá know exactly where each other are. I said this in the Liverpool game. They played with each other for 3 years now, one with Leon and twice with us, and they're good off the pitch as well, which helps. It's like Soucek and Soufal. They know exactly where each other are, and it's about building relationships, which I think is what Moyes are trying to do with the players on certain sides of the pitch. And again, nothing to complain about with Emerson, and I do think he loves to go inside a lot. I think in this formation you're going to have to offer width. We don't have a left winger in this team. Benrahma's not playing. Even if Kudus was playing, he'll want to go inside a lot. So I do think you maybe should sit wider a bit more. Just my opinion, though. Yeah, we've spoken about Alvarez and Soucek. Let's speak about Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse kept it moving. Decent performance from him. Didn't hide. Retained the ball well. He's becoming a vocal guy in the squad as well. He's been captain for Southampton before, so he's always going to be vocal. But you could see at times, I was just watching him, and it was like times he was encouraging players, get frustrated, like do this, do that kind of thing. And if you have Alvarez, again, Zuma, and Ward-Prowse, who are all quite vocal, just talking to each other, it's going to be quite organised. So it should be interesting to see if that all forms a relationship. I do think Alvarez and Ward-Prowse is a great partnership. It's a way more balanced midfield. And we haven't had that for a couple of years now because we've tried to facilitate Rice getting forward. And that hasn't really worked because he didn't naturally get forward. He more relied on him just driving with the ball. But I'm liking our midfield when it comes to Alvarez and Ward-Prowse, and the guy I'm about to speak about, Lucas Paquetá, who had another consistent performance. Tried some flicky things, but the guy's becoming consistent for us. You're going to get that with him when he gives away the ball. But even when he's trying to slide tackle, he's trying to create something. Like, I'm seeing when someone has the ball and he's trying to poke it, he's still trying to pass the ball. He always wants to pass forward. I do think these are the players where if you give him too much instructions, it'll affect his whole game. It'll get coached out of him. He wants to link up with players. He wants to attack, and he always wants the 1-2. And he like when it comes to creative midfielders, it just feels like sometimes the game is moving way faster than they think it is because they're passing so fast. Like, you don't need to rush it. Compose on the ball, 1-2s, and it will come to you. And he's going to improve with that over time, and sometimes that's just in his game. With Jared Bowen and Antonio kind of playing as a front two, Bowen's not really suited to play as a striker at all. I know Moyes thinks he can convert any fucking winger to a striker, but Arnautovic and Antonio are tall and stocky. Well, Antonio's not stocky, not tall, but he's fucking huge. And he can spin off any player that he wants. Bowen didn't have his best performance. He took a bit too long on the ball, but he took his goal really well. Let's get him tied down to that contract, please, because we're fucked if we are going to lose Paquetá and Bowen next summer. But I think he took too long on the ball sometimes. In certain situations, I just think he needs to move the ball a bit quicker. If he's on the ball, make decisions a bit quicker. But I think overall, you know what Bowen's like. He'll give you goals, and he's scored so many goals this season already. Who's he scored against? Scored against Bournemouth, Luton, Brighton, Liverpool, and now this game. So he's already scored 5 goals. He can't complain. I'm pretty sure that's more. Like, he's already topped last season, if I'm not mistaken. Last season was dreadful in the Premier League, but it was probably the best because of the cup. Obviously, he scored the winning goal. But yeah, I can't argue with his goal ratio at the moment. And last player to talk about, Mikel Antonio. I think Mikel Antonio worked hard, played well at times, but obviously you know what you're going to get with Antonio. First touch, nothing new to complain about really. You know what you're going to get. He's been at 8 years. I'm not going to complain about the same thing. He worked hard, but sometimes I just think, not even take your time. Sometimes he just takes his time too much, and sometimes he becomes rash with some of his shots. I just think relax a bit. Don't force the shot. When Antonio wants to force the shot, it doesn't go well. If he just plays to his game, just get at defenders, start spinning people, make decisions like quicker, maybe. I think he'll be fine. And he's not your ordinary striker, so I don't think he's going to lose confidence. Antonio doesn't seem like the kind of player. He's always confident, always backs himself, which is a good thing. Top mentality. That's why he is where he is. That's what I've got to say. Sheffield United was shit. Nothing really much to say about that because they were just shit. It was quite a routine kind of win. But yeah, we need to perform way better against Newcastle. I know they started off badly, but they picked up a bit of form. But I do think we could get at them, especially with some of the suspensions and injuries that they have. And Freiburg, we need to, please, for the love of God, please just do a job. We haven't lost in the group stage in a while, especially when we take a group stage game serious. We don't usually lose, so I still back us. But we are going to their ground. So it is what it is. Let's just try and get over the line in Germany and then go and beat Newcastle and, unfortunately, another international break. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. Social media is in the description if you want to follow me in the email for inquiries. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.